Welcome, friends. Today's topic is to start making your millions in real estate by analyzing deals in seconds. So pretty much when you look at a property, we're going to go over step by step what exactly you need to look at to be able to analyze the deals in seconds. So you should analyze any property in less than 2 minutes without piece of paper, a calculator, or a computer, okay? So we're gonna start off by, first of all, you always need to understand the area where you're gonna invest, okay? Location, location, location. So you need to make sure that the area or neighborhood supports your exit strategy, whether you're gonna do a flip or a buy and hold, you need to make sure that that area supports that exit strategy. And I'll show you that in just a second when we do the live demo. Second thing that you need to understand is basic analysis. So you need three numbers, okay? You need to understand the after repair value. So how much can you sell the property for once you do the rehab? Two, what's gonna be the rehab estimate? And three, how much you need to pay for the property, okay? So those numbers are critical. If you get one of those three numbers wrong, guess what? You're gonna lose money. So I'm gonna give you the shortcut for you to analyze something super fast, okay? When you look at a property, let's assume that location is great and then the neighborhood supports your exit strategy. Let's say it's a rental, right? So when you stand in front of the property, you already know how much the property is selling for, right? And you must have an idea what the median sales price for that kind of property is. So let me give you an example. You're gonna go see a property. For one, you need to focus on properties that are less than 200,000 in ideally B plus neighborhoods, A minors. Why not C and D? So A are the best, D are the most challenging neighborhoods. D and C have been affected the most by the pandemic. So you need to focus on B plus, A minus neighborhoods, okay? Because that's where you have the white collar employees who get to work from home, right? So they have not lost their job yet. So super important to focus in BC neighborhoods. So once you stand in front of the property, you need to know what they're selling the property for, which I think that's very easy. And second of all, you need to know the square footage of the property. Super important, okay? Because guess what? Based on the square footage, we're gonna be able to give you a cheat sheet for you to know how much is gonna be the rehab. So let's assume that you already know the property is for sale for, let's say, 70,000, let's say $80,000. So right off the bat, what you need to do is you need to add 100,000 because you need that much spread to be able to do a successful flip or rental. So what that means is that, okay, the property is for sale for 80,000. The ARV on the property should be somewhere in the 170, 180, 190 at least. So that's simple. You need $100,000 spread. So you should have an idea what those properties are selling for. If it's a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, just a rough idea. How much is a 2 or 3-bedroom? Whatever the subject property is, then you need to understand, you don't need to have a precise idea of what the ARV is just to get a feeling whether it's a great deal or not. So let's assume that 3 bedrooms, 2 baths are selling for close to 190. All rehab in really nice condition. So if you can get a deal for, let's say, 80, 90, you know that you can sell that property for close to 200,000. So you do have at least $100,000 spread, okay? We typically can squeeze that up to 80,000, but we are always looking to have at least 100,000. But if it's in a great location, we can settle with a spread of 80,000, but we like to have at least 100,000. Okay, that's step number one. Step number two, you've got to know the square footage, because based on the square footage, you are going to run the cheat sheet that we're going to give you next. On this slide, we're going to categorize the rehab into 3 types: light, average, and heavy, right? So I want to make sure that you focus on properties that are either light, average, and that's about it. Please stay away from heavy or gut rehabs because guess what? You can lose your shirt. You're going to be dealing with the village, every single contractor, plumbing, electric, HVAC, roofers, windows, foundation. Too many issues, okay? Too many unexpected items. You're not in the business of construction. So the more work you do doesn't mean the more money you're going to make. It's the opposite. The more kind of warms you open, guess what? The likelihood of you losing money goes through the roof, okay? So keep that in mind. You've got to focus on light and average. So very simple. The minute you walk in the property or you look at pictures, either one, you already know the square footage. So the next thing that you need to go is look at the kitchen and look at the bathroom. If those need updating, right off the bat, you are in the average or medium rehab, okay? If they don't need anything, just paint, then you're in under the light, okay? Super important to understand. Again, if you need to update kitchen cabinets, if you need to update the vanity, uh, anything in the bathroom, you're right off the bat in the average. So what that means is that we created this cheat sheet for you, okay? I want to make sure that you focus on properties that are less than 2,500 square feet, because guess what? If it's a light rehab for a 2,000 square feet property, boom, 15,000. Even if it's a light rehab, the minute you open up the doors, boom, 10 to 15,000. Okay, no questions asked. So most properties where you're gonna find the biggest spread, like 70 to $100,000 spread, guess what? Most of them, over 90%, they're gonna be a medium or average rehab, which means that if you stick to properties that are two bedroom, three bath, two to three bedroom, one or two baths, they're going to be less than 2,500 square feet, okay? And some of them don't have basements, just crawl space. Those are the ideal properties that you need to focus on, because if you need paint, paint and carpet or flooring, it's a must on all properties. But if you need to update the kitchen and the bathroom, you're going to be hitting those numbers, between 25 to 35. And guess what? You always need to have a cushion for unexpected. If you're going to be under the first column, right, less than 1,500 square feet, add a $5,000 cushion. If you're going to be on the second column, between 1,500 to 2,500, guess what? Please add a $10,000 miscellaneous or unexpected cushion, okay? You never know, okay? You always have to be prepared. So this is the rule of thumb, and these numbers have worked incredibly well for us. So we always try to stay away from gut rehabs. Gut rehab means that you've got to do everything from scratch, like got a bathroom, got a kitchen, flooring, painting, obviously, and you need to do more. You may need to do update the electric, you may need to update the plumbing, you may need to update the kitchens, roof, foundation, maybe a garage. So when you start looking at heavy or gut rehab properties, guess what? Your rehab is going to go through the roof. Okay, so right now, for instance, we're doing one in Elmwood Park. We needed to do a gut rehab on the kitchen, the bathroom, windows, some issues with the basement. There's some cracks on the wall. So right off the bat, we estimated 45,000, and the property is like less than 1,500 square feet, and we're gonna hit probably 45. So these numbers work like amazingly well. So I want to make sure that you take a picture of these because it's going to come very handy for you. Okay, so very simple. We're looking at a property that is for sale for 90,000. It better appraise after you've done all the work, after you put in all this money that I'm showing you in front of the screen. It better appraise for 100,000 more. So if you buy it for 90, it should appraise somewhere in the upper 100s, hitting the 200 mark. Okay. If that's not the case, guess what? You run the risk of losing money on the flip or not cash flowing on the rental. And the problem is that if you're going to use a hard money lender or private money lender to purchase the property, you need to have equity on the back end to be able to refinance, right? Put that fix and flip loan or rehab loan into a rental. And for that, you need at least 25% equity. So think about this. You buy it for 90, you put in 40 or 50, you need at least another 50 in equity for the numbers to work, cash flow wise, equity wise, for the lenders to be able to refinance on the back end. Okay, super important. That is why I'm telling you that $100,000 spread works incredibly well. Okay, so now we've talked about two numbers, ARV, very simple. I mean, you don't need calculator, you don't even need to look at the computer, right? So you only need to have an idea what those properties are selling for. Go to Realtor, any website, just search for a 3-bedroom, make sure the pictures look nice, and if they're close to the 200 range, that means that you need to buy the property for at least, for at the most, about 100,000, and the rehab should be medium to light. That simple. If it's a good rehab, you need even more spread. Okay, so now the next question is, how much should you pay for the property? Okay, that's the third number. It's going to be very simple. And in fact, when you have these two numbers that I gave you, you know the purchase price, obviously, plus you're going to add $100,000 spread, and you know what your rehab is, guess what? That's all you need. Because guess what? The third number that I told you, how much you need to pay for the property, is already calculated by having that $100,000 spread. How so? Let me tell you the formula. So you're going to take the ARV. So let's say the ARV is 200,000. You're going to multiply that times 70%. Okay, so that's 140,000, and you're going to subtract the rehab. So if the rehab is average, let's say 35,000. So 140,000 minus 35, the most you should pay for that property is 105. So guess what, friends? We go back to the same $1,000 spread that I gave you. If you have a $100,000 spread, you're going to be able to do a successful flip, a successful rental, so long the rehab is average or light, ideally. That's it. So you don't even need to compute how much you need to pay for the property, so long you have that $100,000 spread. Because when you have that spread, that formula of the 70%, okay, will work incredibly well. So you're going to be paying even less than that formula. So you need to have some room. And let me tell you why 70%. 20% is for your carrying and holding expenses. 10% are for closing costs. Okay. So that's how it works. Plus, you need to account for a 20% profit if you were to do a flip. So that 70% encompasses that spread that you need for a successful flip. But don't worry about that. Let's just keep it simple. I'm going to repeat what you need. You know the asking price, 90,000. It needs to price for over 100, close to 200,000, and your rehab should be average at the most, and no more than 35, 40,000. Okay, that's it. If you hit those two numbers, boom, it's a great deal or a home run deal. Okay, that's simple. Are there any questions right now? Okay, so let's move on. I created this cheat sheet for you. So first of all, make sure that you are in the B plus markets and you focus on properties below 200,000. Super important, because if you go over 200,000, guess what? Your rehab, your numbers are going to be too big, too risky. Okay. The second thing that you need to understand is accessing great deals. Okay, those great deals, you need to have a lot of equity. Okay, so it could be pre-foreclosures, it could be upcoming auctions, shadow inventory, probates, but you need high equity, meaning $70,000 to $100,000 spread, which is what we just talked about when you analyze them in seconds. And you don't even need to apply the 70% rule, because when you have that spread, it's already embedded into the formula. Okay, when you have $100,000 spread, what you pay for the property will be the right number, so long your rehab is going to be less than 40,000. Okay, now I love this rule of the 1%. What it means is that if you pay, let's say, 150,000 for a property, right? You need to collect at least 1% of that, so 1,500. What this is going to do for you is this is going to rule out a market that does not support rentals. That's simple. So if you want to do a rental, and when you do the 1% rule of thumb and it doesn't work, that means it's not a rental market. So let me give an example. You can buy a property, let's say in Evanston, for 200,000, but you're going to be collecting 1,500 in rent. It's not going to work. It's not going to cash flow. Your operating expenses, your debt service or mortgage, taxes, insurance are going to be greater, so you're not going to cash flow. Whereas if you buy a property, for instance, in the top 2 rental markets, such as Allsip and Berkeley, you can find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in any of those 2 markets in about 180,000, and guess what? The rents are hitting the 2,000 mark. So you're going to be cash flowing at least $300 to $400 per month in those neighborhoods. So those are top rental markets. Just apply the 1% rule of thumb. It works incredibly well. Okay. Now, if for whatever reason you cannot memorize the spreadsheet or the cheat sheet that I showed you previously, just take the square footage and multiply it by 2. That's going to give you just a rough idea how long is going to, how much is going to be for the rehab. Plus, add the cushion. If it's a medium rehab, add 10,000 cushion. If it's a light, add 5,000. So if the square footage is 1,500, multiply that by 2, it's going to be a rehab of 30,000 plus my cushion, 10,000, 40,000 right off the bat. Okay, so let's rewind. 1,500 square footage property, I'm buying for 100,000. With my rule of thumb, I'm going to spend 40,000. If I know it needs updating in the kitchen, the bathroom, then I need 40,000 to account for. So it better appraise for close to 200,000 because I need at least 25% equity, and the numbers are going to work great. So I buy it for 100, I put in 40, all in 140. I have 60,000 in equity. Okay, so you need at least 25%, which 25% would be 50,000. So super simple rule of thumbs that will help you analyze deals in seconds. Okay, and finally, you need to present the deal to get it funded to start building your rental portfolio. That's the ultimate objective, and that's the true power of real estate when you build passive income through rentals. Okay, because you're going to have other people run on the treadmill for you, so they're going to be working to pay your mortgage, and on top of that, they're going to be putting cash flow in your pocket. Super important. Okay, now what I would like to do very quickly is, Joanne, you submitted a property to us. Let's quickly analyze that. Can you send me the address for it on the chat, Joanne? Let's just apply all of these on a property that Joanne is looking into, okay? Do you happen to have that address, Phil or Joanne, Candy, that we can just really quickly analyze? Okay, thank you, Joanne. So it's 1080 Douglas, Aurora. So the first thing that I told you guys, what's my exit strategy? You only have 3 exits, okay? You have buy and hold, fix and flip, or wholesale. So Aurora, what's Aurora all about? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the pros analyze these deals, okay? So I'm going to go to area reports, and then I'm going to look up Aurora right here. So Aurora is on the second column, is a B market. That's good. It supports both strategies, flip and cash flow, right here on the approach. and the livability score is 75. So it's a good neighborhood. It supports both exit strategies. I like it. I know Aurora is an upcoming market, it's growing, so that's good. The second step is I need to know the square footage of the property. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a power search, 1080 Douglas Street in Aurora. Okay, so and then obviously there are some pictures. I would like to see the outside. Okay, so right here I don't have right here from, we have two listings right here. One is an sort of like an old MLS listing, and another one is an off-market listing. So right here, I don't see how many bedrooms, how many baths, the square footage, nothing, okay? As you can see right here on the top, I don't see anything. On the previous listing, I don't see anything. Let me go to the details. They have nothing. Okay, so that's super important for us to know before we even start looking at the property. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, since I didn't get anything here, I'm gonna quickly do a search on the internet to see if I can capture the square footage one way or another. So Zillow, let me see. So Zillow is telling me it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,100 square feet. So I can see some pictures in here of the property. So friends, we know the square footage, 1,100. So remember, if you don't remember the cheat sheet that I gave you, okay, up above for the numbers. So this falls under the first column, okay? So now let's see what the pictures look like and see if it's a light, medium, or go rehab. Okay, so you need to update the kitchens. Everything is pretty dated, right? Hopefully we get to see a picture of the bathroom. I don't see a picture of the bathroom, but the assumption is that this is a medium rehab. It's not a go rehab, it's a medium rehab, okay? So now let's go back to ChicagoDealVault. So we know it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. The square footage is about 1,200. So based on that, multiply 1,200 by 2 is 24, right? Since it's a medium rehab, you're gonna need to add at least 10,000. So we're gonna estimate at least 35,000 for the rehab. So this is the subject property, at least 35,000 for the rehab, okay? Right now, when you look at the property from the outside, I mean, I like the fact that it's brick. Something to keep in mind is the driveway, okay? So it doesn't have a driveway, but you obviously need to check what other people, other properties have. But I like the fact that it's a 2-car attached garage, and the roof, let's zoom in. The roof looks in okay condition. Windows, okay, so something right here, guys, to keep in mind, the windows, they need some work, okay? You see how all this peel paint, so the windows need work, so they might need to be replaced. Now, when you look at an AC unit on the window, what does that tell you about the heating and cooling? That you don't have central air, okay? So when you don't have central air, when I see these AC windows, my question is, what is the heat? Do we have already a furnace, right? So you have all the duct work. Because if that's the case, that's good. Because then all we need to do is buy the condenser, you know, the window outside, and then we can use the run the line, and then that would be probably a 4,000 expense to do central air. But if there's no duct work, let me look and see if I see any vents for heating. Let me go back to the pictures. Oh, I think I saw a vent right here. Oh yeah, right here. You see the vent, the picture is upside down, but on the wall. So that means it does have heating by a furnace. Okay, so you already have the ductwork. So to make this central air, you need to add right now about $4,000 in to convert this into a central unit. I mean, central air, because you're going to have centralized heating and cooling. That's a must, okay? Because having window AC units, it's a big no-no, okay? If you're gonna do a rental or a flip. So the kitchen obviously needs work. So right now, I already know that we're adding just 5,000 for heating and cooling. And windows, we're gonna need to replace the windows on this property. So for windows, add probably 370, 350 per window. Okay, labor and material. So we're gonna spend at least $4,000 in windows. So right off the bat, between AC and windows, I'm at 8,000. Okay, so go back to what I gave you earlier. Okay, so the average is going to be 25,000. Okay, because it's less than 1,500 square feet. Plus, I'm going to add 8,000 between windows and AC. Okay, so that's 25 plus 8, that's 33,000. Okay, so the rehab on this property is going to be between 33,000. We're gonna add 5,000 per cushion on this rehab, so it's gonna be 33 to 38. So give and take, average 35 to 40,000 rehab on this property. Okay, but we're gonna make it look like brand new because we're gonna be updating the kitchen, updating the bathroom, flooring. We will remove all the paneling because that makes it look dated. We obviously need to check on the mechanicals, like the condition of the furnace. We also need to inspect the roof. And then we need to find out if this property has a basement or just a crawl space. Joanne, do you know if it has a basement or just a crawl space? Crawl space, perfect. Because then it's less work. I love crawl space. Okay, so rehab is going to hit at least 35,000 to 40,000 on this property. Joanne, remind me, what was your scope of work? How much did you come up with on the rehab for this property? 35,000, right on the spot. Very good, Joanne. How long did it take you, Joanne, to figure this out? Did you go inside the property? How did you come up with this? Did you use some rule of thumbs that we already used, or how did you come up with the 35,000? Feel free to unmute yourself. Minutes, space pictures, haven't seen the inside yet. Okay, perfect. So you are right on target. So my guess is going to be between 35 to 40,000 rehab on this property. Now, the next question is, how much can you buy it for and what's going to be the ARV on this property? Okay, so Joanne, how much can you get this on the contract for? I see that 107, okay, 107. So guys, remember what I told you. This is a perfect example. So 107, right? How much do you need to add? How much spread do you need to have? 80 to 100,000. So this property should appraise for close to 200,000. Why? Because think about this, 107 plus the rehab, you are at 150 already. So it better appraise for 200,000. So you're gonna have at least 50,000 in equity so that it works on the back end and you can do a successful either flip or buy and hold. So Joanne, What's your estimate on the ARV for these? What's your estimated ARV? 196. Okay. So what we're gonna do is, this is a 3-bedroom. So what I'm going to do is right here in Chicago DealVault, I'm gonna check for, this is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, right? Okay, 3-bedroom, 1-bath between 500 square feet. We're gonna leave it like that. We're just gonna click search. I wanna see what the market shows me. So we're gonna pull comps right now, okay? So what we're doing is we're accessing the MLS live. So we're pulling comps. We're pulling 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Okay, this is, so they came back. Okay, so these are all 3-bedroom, 1 and 1.5 bath. Let me check the prices. So they're selling quite high. So there's one for 178, the first one. I want to see what the pictures look like. Okay. Okay, so it's totally rehab. It looks pretty nice. Let me look at some others. So I'm curious about these for 240. That sounds quite high. Let me see. Yeah, this is a lot bigger. Yeah, this is 1,700 square feet. So obviously this is not a comp. Okay, so we're gonna remove this one, 240, 230. It's this is a 1.5, 1,500 square feet. So these are a lot bigger. Okay, so we're gonna remove these. This is 1,500 square feet. So I think it's between these. We're gonna leave. Let me check this one, the Golden Oaks. Okay, that's also pretty big. But you see how they're rehab, they look pretty nice. But this is a 2-story, so this is not a comp either. That is why the square footage is a lot bigger. This is 1,500. So these are gonna be, these 3 properties are gonna be more like a comp. So we need to make sure that we compare apples with apples. So this is like a ranch. But you see the type of rehab? This is a very nice rehab, okay? Very nice rehab. And this property sold in 3 days, okay? So let me look at the one on Randall. This is also a ranch property. So as you can see, the kitchen is very nice. The bathroom is just so-so. So yeah, I can say that we came up with 3 comps. So therefore, the ARV on this property is 196. Oh my goodness, Joanne, you hit it right on the nail. So she said 196. So now let me show you the formula of the 70%, just to be more precise. So ARV 196 times 70%, okay? And then we're gonna subtract the rehab. So the rehab is going to be between 35 to 40. So we're gonna be conservative. I'm gonna do that again. 196 times 70%. Oh my goodness, 196 times 70%, and then minus the rehab. So let's say 35. So 102. The question, Joanne, is can you pay a little bit less than the 107? Okay, because I think the rehab on this is going to be very close to the 40,000, just to make it comparable to the other properties. So if I would do this, 196 times, actually not 70%, but 68, because we're going to have declining values in the upcoming months. Not only that, we're going to hit the winter, okay? So I would do that minus, I would put 40. So I would love to pay 95,000 for this property, okay? Like 10,000 less than the 107. The question is that possible, Johan? Can we pay 95,000 for this property? If we can pay 95,000 for this property, this is a great deal all day long. Can we pay that, Johan? Or do you already have it on the contract for 107? And then the next question is, if this property is for a buy and hold, then the numbers are going to work, like cash flow wise. If it's going to be a flip, if we pay 107, oh, it's going to be a little bit tight, okay? There's not much room for mistakes on this rehab, okay? Very simple. Already have it for 107. It'll be a flip, okay? It'll be a flip. So my only concern is that we're gonna hit, let's say you get it on the contract, you have it right now. By the time you close, you're gonna hit November, December. So this property, even if you rehab this in 5-6 weeks, when you put it on the market, if you put it on the market, let's say in the winter, right, it's not the best season to put it on the market. So your carrying cost, holding expense is going to go up. So the question is, for a flip, I'm going to show you something really cool. I want to find out how long this property is going to stay on the market. So I'm going to show you area reports, and then I'm going to open up the report. I want to see the months of housing supply in Aurora, okay? So I'm going to scroll down right here to the sales market analysis. Months of housing supply for a single family home is 1.62, which is really good. What it means is that it only takes about a month and a half for you to sell the property. So market time, month and a half. So let me verify this again. On this property, when we pull the comps right here, how long did they stay on the market? Check this out. 4 days, 3 days, 31 days, 35, 3 days, 12, 1 day. Does that make sense? So Aurora, it's an amazing flipping market because assuming there are no new properties on the market, this property will sell at the most in 6 weeks. So that is market time, okay? But it obviously depends when you put it on the market. So when you hit November with elections, Thanksgiving, people thinking about New Year's and all that stuff, it may sit on the market a little bit longer, but overall, Aurora supports a flipping market. That's simple. So I like that. You have it on the contract for 107. So let me give you the numbers. So hopefully you sell it for, let's say, 196, right? So we're gonna multiply it times 70% minus, let's assume we spend 37 on this deal, 100,000. So pretty much we would be overpaying between 5 to 7,000. I would say 5 to 10,000 on this property if the rehab is close to 40,000. What it means is that you're tapping into your net profit. So the net profit on the flip should be 20%. So 196 for a flip, you should make at least 39,000. Okay, you should expect to make at least, let's call it 40,000. But since we are paying 7,000 more, right, than what we would typically pay for this property based on the numbers, that means that the profit is going to be not 40,000. If you sell it for 196, it's going to be about, give and take, I would say 30,000, okay? Which is not bad, okay? Not bad. But you're gonna be making 30,000 now. How many months? So it's gonna take 6 weeks for the rehab, plus another, let's assume, depending when we put it on the market, another 2 months. So it's gonna be 3.5 months average. So you're gonna be making about 10,000 a month. profit. If everything goes well, if the rehab goes well, then the profit should be about 30,000 on this deal. Okay. Now, something that I still have a concern, okay, is the driveway. You see these properties? Look at the driveway. Okay, so the driveway looks nice on that property. Let me show you the other comp, the second comp. Driveway, I think it's okay. It's a good condition. It's not like gravel. And then the third property. Okay, so the driveway looks okay. However, the subject property, you know, let me go back to the original page. In here, oh, it was a Google map, right? Right here, let me go back to the subject property right here. So in the Google Maps, the driveway, right? So if we're gonna do a flip, let me zoom out. You see the driveway? So this could cost, there's no driveway right here. So this could cost about 5,000, 3 to 5,000 to do this, okay? Which is gonna tap further into the net profit. So the rehab, if we do the driveway, is going to for sure hit 40,000, okay? So yeah, the profit is going to be on this flip, I would say between 25 to 30,000, okay? When we have it on the contract at 107. That's my personal opinion, being realistic, conservative. So things that we need to consider that are a little bit on the expensive side: driveway, windows, and adding the condenser on the property, okay? So you're talking about close to 15,000 for those three projects, okay? And then when you're gonna put the property in the market, that's about it. But otherwise, it's a great property. Let me just check what the rents are on this property. I click on the rental calculator. The rents are close to 1475, 1500 for this property. So this would cash flow all day long, okay? And then the rehab doesn't need to be as perfect when you do a rental. So Joan, may I ask, why were you considering a flip versus a buy and hold? Is there a particular reason? Because this market supports both for working capital. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so friends, I just wanted to give you a real life example. So Joan, thank you for sending us the property. Were you aware of these items that I just showed you? You know, the driveway, the windows, the AC, those are things that I call them kind of worms, right? That first thing that you look at the property, you may not realize that, but when you start digging, they're gonna come up. So I love the fact that it's in a market that supports flips. This is by far a flipping market, Aurora, okay? I love that. I love the fact that it doesn't have a basement. I love the fact that it has a two-car garage or two-car garage. So it's everything all good. It's looking good. The flip should hit about 30,000. If there is something unexpected, it's gonna hit 25,000. So technically, ideally, you should target on this property to make 40,000. You might make not the 20% net profit return. You might hit maybe 15% on this property by getting the property on the contract at 107. Ideally, I would love to hopefully, if possible, negotiate the contract maybe 5,000 for those items, those three items that I mentioned: windows, AC, and driveway. Hopefully, you know, we can still further negotiate and get a credit for 5,000. Somebody said that I notice a lot of times once I actually run the comps, the ARV changes. So I'm wondering what the initial ARV is based on. Oh, okay, great question. So Andrea, the initial ARV is based on comparables in the area, but since in this case we didn't get any square footage, no rooms, nothing, then it's hard to give you one. But once we know what the square footage is, or the number of bedrooms, when you put the comps, just specify 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and boom, you're gonna get the comps right away, like just like we did. But Joanne did a great job, so kudos to Diane, high five, because her analysis is right on the spot. The ARV she came up with, it's exactly what I came up with. The rehab, I would say it's gonna hit the 40,000. So overall, amazing work, Joanne. The only thing is I would personally like to get it for about 100,000. I mean, between 95 to 102,000. You got it for 107. So that's for sure gonna tap into the net profit. So I would love to get a credit from the seller if possible, okay? It's not too late, I would imagine, based on the facts that we found. But we can touch base on that. Also, what's the percentage that you deducted in anticipation for the price decrease in the future? Great question. So typically the formula is multiply that by 70%, ARV times 70. I'm gonna multiply that by 65 to 78 because we're gonna have declining values because of the winter, okay? So I would be more conservative. But overall, great work, Joan. Thank you for giving us the address, and you did amazing with the ARV and the rehab. So, but friends, I just wanted to show you how quickly you can analyze a property when you have access to the right tools. So, are there any other questions on the line? So, if no further questions, I want to make sure that you have access to DealVault. So, Phil, can you please send instructions to get free access for the next 30 days? The promo code is going to be analyze, okay? And then get it now, perfect, Phil. So we're gonna remain on the line for the next just couple of minutes to answer any questions, but please make sure that you get access to DealVault for the next 30 days free, okay? Another question, if there is no central area in the house, roughly how much does the value decreases? Yeah, no central area, it drops the value by at least 10,000, 10, 15,000, okay? So it's super important, it's a must, okay? People, especially for a flip, if you have window units, forget it, okay? You've got to spend, in this case, all we need is the condenser plus the line that runs to the furnace. So that's gonna run about $4,000, okay? So super important to convert this into central air, super important. And then, thank you, Phil. Please make sure that you join Wednesday's webinar with George Wyatt. And also, super important, guys, please, if you did an RSVP for this event, RSVP, please, Phil, send the link to register for the webinar because we're gonna send you the replay. We wanna make sure that we have your contact information. We're gonna send you the replay first thing tomorrow morning, okay? So please RSVP. Thank you everyone for joining. Kudos to Joanne. Please give a big round of applause to Joanne. She did an incredible job on the ARV, on the rehab, and getting this property on the contract. So high five, Joanne.